Dada, hello. It's David. I watched your video entitled How Can You End Sorrow? I don't know if you're speaking of sorrow in the same context as suffering, or if this feeling, this emotion that's evoked by human experience is something that is different from suffering. When you speak of the God conscience, the God consciousness, do you speak directly to a being? Are you speaking directly of a being? Or when you say the higher self, do you understand that there's a higher manifestation than the earthly self? And if sorrow is an inevitable factor in life, are you saying that we can overcome this by believing higher self? And if this is true, is this a placebo effect? And if it is, does it matter if it is a placebo effect, if it instills courage, emotion, and conviction within the individual that it is possible to overcome anything, including this sorrow or suffering, if we seek out the means of creation and utilize them in a manner that allows all the obstructions to pass and to experience the self fully. Recently, I'm on a path of introspection and generating the self in a context that I've never before felt. Something I've always aspired to do, but with accumulations of the worldly barriers to the self, I've often felt that achieving this higher state of being was restricted because of all the mental afflictions plaguing the being on our throughout time. So to eradicate suffering and to prescribe to the notion that there is a higher manifestation of the self, whatever we want to label this, do you think it's wise to label this with the word God? Because God evokes such feelings from people, it almost is a barrier to the true meaning of what God is trying to convey. Register that concept with so many human connotations, not itself having human connotations, but the perceptions of man altering what God truly is. Do you think this is an obstruction by speaking on God? Do you think of self? Do words have the possibility to obstruct the meaning? I do. I think words play an important role. I think just by speaking something, it can become true. So I believe that we all be careful with what words we choose to use to describe something. I believe that words can only do so much in describing feeling as well, or describing an emotion or a mental state or the capacity of a certain concept. Because words are powerful and they can create meaning, but they also create a barrier between what is being conveyed and the truth of what that word is trying to describe. I believe that experience equates to sorrow. I believe you're correct. And I believe there are certain ways to augment these feelings of hopelessness, despair, and sorrow and suffering to generate the self, the true self, not the thinker, not that which we identify with, not the mind, losing all affiliations and promoting an arena of no mind, of complete consciousness. I'm interested in hearing your path. I really haven't seen many of your videos. Seems like you have quite a following, so what you're espousing is resonating within certain individuals. So I'd like to hear your take on the means of creation. How do we implement that into our lives, into our consciousness, and really harness its power to have it endure and create lasting significance, and to bridge that with communication to others, to present planes of ascension in a context of oneness. It seems the human experience is becoming chaotic and predicated in illusion, it seems. But maybe that's a construct of my own mind. Maybe I'm doing that. Maybe I'm constructing these ideologies so that I restrict access to myself. Maybe the physical reality and the physical being want strict access to the consciousness so that we don't experience it completely. Maybe that's a survival instinct within us. Do you believe so? Is there a place of no mind where all becomes clear and clarity reigns supreme without the obstructions of life, superseded by an innate understanding? Not in on the path to this understanding, how do we become free of desire? Because desire equates to suffering, and we desire to end suffering. Won't this just instill more suffering within the self? I'm anxious to hear your response.